Greetings again. Today, this Sunday, the 19th Sunday of the year, is kind of like a continuation on from what Jesus was talking about in the Gospel last Sunday when we had the story of the rich fool who hoarded all his possessions and then he died that night. You know, we spend a lot of time and effort in planning our futures as human beings, and some of it we need to do. We study hard so that we might have a good and secure career. We invest money. We make sure that our superannuation will be enough to support us when we retire. We might buy some property that we can retire on, all of those kind of planning things that we do as human beings. And they're all important things, but even so, it's still planning for a life and a way of living that will come to an end sooner or later. We're all going to die. We don't know when. Being young is no guarantee that you may have many years ahead of you before you die. So how much time and effort, if we spend all this time and effort rightly on the things of this life, how much do we spend planning for our eternal life? A future that is considerably more important than our limited mortal future. Just think for a minute about some of the things that you've done and said, I don't know, say in the last 48 hours. How many of those things that you've done and said have brought you closer to God, have made you a truer disciple of Christ? How many things have you done, said, or thought that may have actually offended God? If you knew you were about to die and meet the Lord himself, would you have been more aware and careful of your actions? When was the last time you spent a few moments in prayer just with God? When was the last time you availed yourself of his healing and forgiveness in the sacrament of confession? Now, I don't say these things to make us feel bad, but more to help us to refocus our vision, to focus on what's more important or most important in life. So in the gospel today, Jesus tries to bring home the point that building up treasure for yourself in this world is not really all that important. And if it leads you to do things against your own brothers and sisters and to offend God, then it could even be fatal to you in terms of eternity. What is really important, according to Jesus, is to build up treasure for yourself in heaven by following the teachings of Christ, by loving God with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength, by always loving, seeking to love, and being ready to forgive your neighbour, whoever that may be. To be more and more aware through an attitude of prayer of the way you think and act so that you can be more and more the servant of Christ rather than the servant of your own will and desires. And this is what the letter to the author of the letter to the Hebrews is also talking about when he talks about faith. Faith is meant to be something dynamic, personal, and life-changing. Very, in the Mass, in the Sunday Mass, we about halfway through, towards the end of the Liturgy of the Word, we recite the Creed, the Nicene-Constantinopolitan Creed, and it's like a symbol or an anthem of our faith. And when we recite that creed, do we recite it with our hearts? Does it touch our lives? Does it make a difference to us? Or is it just lip service? Do we sort of recite it without even thinking what we're saying? And yet in that creed, you have all of the amazing elements of our relationship with the Trinity and how we should live. Faith for Abraham involved being tested and holding on in the face of the unbelievable, if you like. Faith is something we do rather than something we have. This is the difference between biblical faith faith understood in the scriptures and the way we often think of believing or faith today. Faith is dynamic. It impels us to do what we otherwise would not do. And there lies the difference. Simply to accept truth in the head costs us very little. That kind of faith is not really faith. It doesn't distinguish the believer from the non-believer. It's when faith carries us to the brink, when it brings us to stand up for our convictions, even to suffer for them, then we're talking about real faith, faith in Jesus Christ, the faith that makes us Christians stick out like a sore thumb in the society around us. So again, not bashing ourselves over the head, but seeking to, if you like, recalibrate our vision to clarify what's really important in life. We need to ask ourselves these things. If I died right now, how would I stand before the Lord? What does my faith in Jesus really mean to me? Does being a believer in Jesus make any real practical difference in my life? Do I look any different to Joe Blow down the street, who may not be Christian? How does my faith contribute to the day-to-day life of my parish, of the church? If we find that our faith and our life are not all that hot, then now is the time to turn around. Jesus is always waiting for you. It's never too late. Come to him, drink from the river of life, and start to make a difference in Jesus' continuing mission in the world. May God bless you.